Can you give a brother some of your precious time and tutor me? His brown eyes playfully pleaded, puppy dog style. Lauren laughed. You've got the wrong one, she told him and pointed toward Brenda. Breh here is the math whiz, not me. Brenda gave Lauren a cold stare, signaling that if Jared even approached her to ask her any type of question, math-related or not, Lauren would owe her big time. Jared shook his head, to Brenda's joy. No, see, I would prefer if you'd tutor me. Lauren decided to play along and allowed Jared to think that he was actually getting somewhere with her this time. Okay, Jared, I'll tutor you. He began to smile, but she spoke again before the ends of his mouth could reach his eyes. Here's your first lesson. What is me plus you divided by my fist multiplied by your eye several times? She asked with a scowl across her face. Jared's expression revealed his confusion. What? I don't get it. It's a severely blackened eye, Jared. Now I suggest you step out of my face before this problem is solved. Lauren could see the mounting anger in Jared's eyes as he walked away dejectedly for the millionth time in the last couple of months, but she felt no remorse for him. She knew she was much too good for him and felt that he should be aware of that. Having to humiliate him every time he approached her wasn't a satisfaction for her, but if it was the only way he would learn to back off, then she had to do what she had to do. Lauren, that was cold, girl. Danielle laughed as they began walking again. Lauren shrugged and continued down the hall. Once the girls reached the commons area, they separated. Lauren and Jayda headed toward their history class, which was their favorite class because their teacher was a young, laid-back male who taught not through boring lectures, but through films and hands-on activities. Good morning, Mr. Sterling, Lauren and Jayda sang as they sashayed into the empty classroom. Sterling Daniels looked up from his work and smiled toward the two girls entering his room. Good morning, ladies, he greeted them smoothly. The first as always, I see. The girls took their front row seats and watched students fill the room, some entering the room just before the late bell rang. Morning, Mr. Sterling, most of them greeted him. Sterling allowed his students to refer to him by his first name because he said being called Mr. Daniels made him feel as old as his father, who wasn't even 50 yet. From her seat, Lauren gazed at Sterling and almost laughed aloud as he tried to focus on his work and ignore her enticing stares, but she knew that her smile alone had a huge effect on his work ethic. Lauren was 17 years old and Sterling was 23, but that didn't stop her from making several attempts to get him to notice her, and after a short time, he had. But he hadn't made any advances toward her. She knew why, of course, but she didn't care that he was her teacher or that his job would be at stake if they were to get involved. All Lauren cared about was that in a few weeks, she would be 18, making her legally available to do whatever she pleased. Sterling looked up into Lauren's brown eyes and held her stare for a fleeting moment before clearing his throat and standing from his seat. How's everyone doing this morning? The class gave various responses, but one sultry voice stood out among the rest, and Lauren watched as Sterling tried not to look in her direction. Jayda glanced at Lauren, and both girls smiled knowingly. Jayda leaned into Lauren and said, Girl, you better leave that man alone before you run him out of this school. He's not going anywhere, Lauren laughed. He's not even scared, just a little nervous, and that's a good sign. She returned her attention to Sterling, who had for only a moment been able to teach without distraction. But as soon as Lauren looked at him and crossed her smooth, shapely legs at the knee, he was once again fumbling over words. By the end of the class,